How's it going YouTube? Come much in today with another video, and today guys, the video is going to be something a little different. Usually it's where to hand chat, but this video is going to be where to interact. Today we're going to be talking about tech cards, different game state options that you'll have, and different ways that you can interact in some of the new matchups. And I hope that you enjoy this kind of content. If you do, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. I appreciate it all so much. Thank you so much for the support in the channel lately. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over in RW, Cloud, Gem, Arla, Imperium, Dragonshield, and Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so all down below. But also a huge shout out to Main Phase. Thank you so much for joining the family. Another new sponsor on the channel. Thank you so much for that as well. I really do appreciate it. If you want to go check out Main Phase, definitely go ahead and use my code at the top here, code GGYGO10. I appreciate each and every one of you. We're going to keep on moving forward toward our goal at 30,000. That's where we're next up. So definitely go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And let's hop right on into the content. So the first thing I have for you today is going to be one of the important interactions that I want to talk about today. And that's going to be the importance of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit right now, especially against the quote-unquote best deck of the new format besides Mitsurugi Raizio, which is going to be VS K9. And I think that Ogre is very important right now because of the fact that you cut off a search and a trap set if you Ogre the Soul Start. This is really important because Mad Love is not just going to grab Snow Devil unless they already have the field spell. So it's almost always going to go ahead and just grab the start. Then if you go ahead and Ogre that, you're cutting off access to any card that they want from their deck realistically. And then you also cut off access to the Snow Devil, which is really important. And I think that Ghost Ogre is definitely a card that I would recommend as a 2-of next format in your main deck. I think this is a very good hand trap. This is something that, you know, like I said in the last video, it's going to be day by day testing right now. And, you know, options are just going to change as we start testing more and more. And I think that meaningful interactions right now are going to be really important. And one of the most meaningful interactions I know of is going to be Ghost Ogre and how it's going to be pretty impactful into the new format. The next one up is going to be talking more so about Nibiru and why I feel like this card's going to be really important. So a lot of people right now are like, well, you can't use Imperium on Paradise Smasher because they're going to have Lupus. That's incorrect, and that's really not how it would work, because a lot of the times if you have Imperium and you're just waiting for them to summon Paradise Smasher, they're not going to have a chance to put Lupus on board if you're not activating something from hand, unless they like hard open it and they're just like trying to summon it to the board in another means other than its own effect. A lot of times if you have something like Imperium, or if you're playing Yummy and you have like the Dominators, the Purge, and the Imperium, you're never really worried about Lupus. So you're still going to have an option to go ahead and stop the Paradise Smasher from being a problem. The other way that you can stop it besides Imperium is going to be Nibiru. So this deck has a really big problem of just going way too wide and playing into rock. And I feel like this is a card that you really should be playing right now because it's going to be a really solid out for Paradise Smasher as well. And even looking forward to where I feel like it would be reliable is that you're going to start seeing a lot of people go like Rosin and a Holy Sue effect to summon from deck. And if they start summoning something like Xiaolong, that's when you know that you want to throw rock, because you already know that the Paradise Smasher is going to come out, and you haven't seen something like a Lupus yet. So you know that the second they summon the Paradise Smasher, you will have a reliable out if you do have rock in hand. And that's why I feel like this card is going to be really effective. And this is another reason why I think that it's really weird that everyone's like, well, they're just going to have Lupus on the Paradise Smasher, because it's only going to be like 50% of the time. That's only if you activate something in hand prior to. Now, coming off of the point of Imperium and knowing how to time your hand traps, which is something I feel like a lot of people just aren't understanding. The other thing is that you want to Perulia yourself turn 0 if you're playing against a deck like this, because the second they start playing the game at the same time as you, you're like, that's cool, like I'm just drawing cards, right? And even if they go to something like a Valen or like a Ripper, it doesn't really matter at that point. And Ripper is not an on-field negation. Make sure that you understand that. It's just hand or grave. So that's something too that is like lackluster. A lot of times if you're going second and you just want to make sure that you have a body on board going to the next turn, you can just make Hound, which is really good with the Lupus, because at that point you can't really out it unless you're like ding sending it or like non-targeting banishing it too. So there's a couple ways you can out it, but it's not really reliable at that point, which is a really cool thing that you can do, especially if you're playing cards like Zeus. So just something to think about. The other thing here is that you want to put in Fenrir for going first. Now, a lot of talk has been for Pankratops, and I think that Pankratops has a lot of merit into the new format. I think that Fenrir is probably one of the best in the new format now, just because it's really good when you side it in for going first, and you can side it in going second against Yummy as well. This is a very solid card, does force a lot, and if you're playing VS K9 and you're putting this in going first, then you at least have another Earth attribute too, right? So definitely a positive. I think this card is going to be really popular this format. I think Kashira variants are going to be very popular this format. I think Fenrir just has an amazing place in the format currently. I think Kurikara has like one of the best applications right now, just because if you're playing VS K9, you have this in the mirror match. It's kind of crazy when you tribute your opponent's Holy Sue, their Rasen, then go end phase and bring back their Rasen or Holy Sue, right? So there's definitely a lot of really cool opportunities that you can go ahead and use in this card that I think can do you very well. It's also very good for just turn 0 interactions, right? So if your opponent goes like the Azuna and the Lupus, and then they go into like a Valen or a Ripper, and you have an opportunity to just go ahead and drop Kurikara, it feels really plus to go ahead and just steal your opponent's Lupus, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do in this format that I feel like are really good, and they're just not really being utilized at their max yet. And one of them is definitely just going to be like Kurikara. I think as like even a 2 of, right? I think this card is really phenomenal right now because we have so many cards that can actually help you when your opponent's trying to interact with you turn 0. And I think that we're going to start seeing a lot more of those cards in the format right now. Another card that's arguably just one of the best 2 ofs that we have in a deck right now is going to be D.D Crow. If your opponent starts playing on your turn, they go like Azuna, dump Lupus, Lupus effect to Reborn, you Crow it, that's rough. That grind game, done, right? And it's not even the fact that like their grind is done. They can't keep bringing back Lupus. They can't make something untargetable, right? Like it just makes it very awkward because having the additional bodies is very nice. Even if you're playing like the Christian build, right? Like you just have options. And that to me is really rough when your Lupus is just gone. People are already cutting Droll, which is crazy because there was a comment in my video the other day that even in the OCG, they did a tournament with Mitsurugi illegal just to see what would happen, and Mitsurugi just blew that tournament out and got first place. And I feel like people are like, well, we have all the new decks and Mitsurugi's not that good. It is that good. It is that good. Mitsurugi Ryzeal is crazy, and it's a very, very strong deck. Is Vanquishal K9 a very strong deck too? It is. But Droll is pretty solid in both those matchups, and it's something that you should still be playing. And I think that's kind of crazy that people in a lot of my comment sections are like, well, Droll's bad now, you don't want to play Droll, and it's a card that activates in the hand. It doesn't really do anything for your opponent if you do Droll them. They get Azuna, Lupus, what do they really make, right? Like, they can make like a Hound, a Valen, a Ripper, like, these cards don't necessarily matter. So, I don't know, I think that it's definitely fine if you have Droll. If your opponent goes like Mad Love Grab Field Spell and then you Droll them, I don't really care what kind of K9 cards are being used at that point, right? Like, it just doesn't matter to me. There are going to be situations where you get high rolled and your opponent already has like Borger, Xiaolong, Holy Sue, Rasen. Like, their hand is just stacked with cards that are just going to be like amazing in the situation. But I feel like there's more times than not where Droll is just going to be one of those cards that can still end the matchup. Some of my current favorite techs going first are definitely just going to be Thrust, Talent, Crow. And if you're on Thrust and you want to going first target, it's definitely just Black Goat because the card's still very strong. But I do like all 3 of these right now. I think that even D.D Crow should be a main deck 2 of right now. I think this card is absolutely phenomenal. And it has a lot of very good application into the format. As for both tactics, we already know what they do, right? Those cards are already broken. Talent's already at 1. These cards are just phenomenal as format. Let's talk about some Draco Tail interactions. Now, you really want to stop Lucius because this deck really doesn't have that many opportunities to go ahead and just like full push or put up like a crazy board because the deck is very low to the ground until we start getting more branded plays. And we'll talk about the branded fusion plays here toward the end of the video. But stopping the Lucius and putting your opponent on You Better Have Femina in hand is going to be one of my best plays I could tell you about, just because of the fact that Lucius add Femina is going to be full combo for your opponent. They do need another card to go ahead and fuse with, but a lot of times that's not really going to be the biggest issue if their first play is just like normal summon Lucius, right? So just something to keep in mind, but it is going to be a card that you do want to stop. So let me show you why this interaction is so important. This is a standard Draco Tail combo at the moment. The last thing that they're going to do is use the Urgula to go ahead and add back the Femina. But when they go ahead and use the Urgula effect to target the Femina, go ahead and just DD Crow the Femina, and then the Urgula will go back to deck anyway, because it resolves as much as possible, so you make your opponent lose a lot of resources. This is another one that's just very important if we do start seeing this deck become very popular. Make sure that you have a copy of Secretarian Dragon and Super Poly in your deck. Since this is just the cleanest out for the deck right now, Secretarian is just absolutely awful for this deck to play against, so that's something to really keep in mind. Now, you really are going to want to stop Branded Fusion when we get the new level 2 Light Spellcaster, because this card is actually going to be full combo out of the Branded Fusion, because you can go ahead and use Fallen of Elbaz and the new level 2 Spellcaster to go into your Albion, and then use this to go ahead and set Rahu, and then Rahu to full Draco Tail combo. So this is going to be one of the best ways to go ahead and integrate the branded package once we get the new one in Dooms of Dimension, I believe. So definitely going to be something that you want to keep your eye out for, but you should be picking up your branded cores now if you do want to be playing Draco Tail. Definitely go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section what you think about the new video. I appreciate it. If you haven't already checked out my Twitch, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, or subscribed to the YouTube channel already, definitely go ahead and do so, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Thank you.